Hello, this is Anne from SortMyBooks, and this is the video for nominals for people that already understand what nominals are and what a chart of accounts is. So we're going to go straight into how do you customize this or tailor it to the client that you're working with. So you click first of all on Tools, Nominals. Here's the first one is Sales. So you can create the sales nominals here. You click on Sales and you click New. So the first one I'm going to put in, this is for a software development company. So I'm going to put in one of the sales categories that they're trying to track is consultancy. Click OK. Now I want to add another couple of categories to sales. So I click on sales, click down here on new, and then the next one I've got is project management. And then go back up to sales again, click on sales, top level, click new, and the next one I'm going to do is training. Now what we can do as well, within project management, there are two further categories. So I'm going to type in testing is one of my categories, and the other one that I have is software. So as you can see here, you can have nested nominals. So we'll be able to get a total sales on project management, but equally how much was for testing, how much was for software. And these you can continue. You could have further subcategories of testing. You can have as many nests as you want. And something else that you can have, these are kind of a drag and drop. So now I've made software a subcategory of testing. So just to pop that back to the top level, I click, drag, and there it is there. So you can click and drag, but not within the main headings. So we'll go from here on to cost of sales. You see there's purchases, direct labor, subcontractors. So subcontractors, to be kind of for construction industry. So again, if you wanted a company that is buying goods, selling on, they could further subdivide this if that was relevant to their business. But we'll move on down to expenses. And here you would need to add quite a few categories, particularly in, let's say, in finance charges. I'll click there on that and I will add in, let's say, bank charges. And if the business has a loan, we could go ahead and put in loan interest in here. And if they have a merchant account, if they're a retailer, they might have credit card charges, or even we can just call it merchant account fees. The good thing about SortMyBooks is you can tailor the chart of accounts once, and when you're setting up a new client, you can just go ahead and clone these settings into the new one. So you don't have to do this each time you set up a new client. And you could also have different ones for different types of client. So as you can see, employee payroll, you don't really need to add anything to that, unless you may be tracking separately things like pension if you were putting expenses in there. So you could further subdivide that. Again, you just click on it, click new over here. Same with advertising and promotion on down. The biggest one here, I guess, office property, we'd need to add quite a few categories to that. Even if a business doesn't have a premises, they're going to have telephone charges. And again, you could further break down telephone if the business warranted it into, let's say, landline and broadband and mobile phone. So that way they'd be able to analyze their mobile phone costs separately while still retaining a full, look, I've made that a sub of that. So I'll just drag that one up there to get it back on track. So back to office property then, the other things I would put in here would be rent and rates. So you click again, click new, maybe waste disposal. I would have print, post, and stationery in here. Print, post, and stationery. And you could maybe have utilities or, light and heat. So you could keep going with that. Travel and subsistence, motor. Again, these could be broken down further if necessary. We're going to move on now to balance sheet nominals and just scrolling down. So just to give you a quick look before balance sheet, we do depreciation in there already and corporation tax. When you pay it, the liability is further down in the balance sheet. So if we come into current assets, got stock, debtors, and just bank accounts. So this would be, bank accounts are not added from here. If you click on bank accounts, you'll see you won't be able to add a new one here. Where you add bank accounts is in the bank account screen, which we did in another lesson. So what you'll see is any accounts you added with account type bank, you'll see them listed here. So we've got prepayments. If you wanted to further categorize your prepayments, you could do that. You could click here, click on new. For example, if you wanted to break them down into, just trying to think what's something we prepay, insurance, let's say. So, but just bear in mind, if you do break down the prepayments, you'd have to break them all down then. You couldn't, you'd have to put all of your categories here. Cash and till, again, these are account types. So if you had added a cash account for the business, or if it's a retailer and you had added different tills, those would be displayed here. Same as control account, asset, and contra account. These are also types of bank accounts. So if you had added something in the bank account screen with this account type, this would be the TCA account. So, for professional services withholding tax, or for subcontractors, it would be RCT that had been withheld from them. Work in progress, that is something that you could click on new and you could add your own subcategories to that one. You can rename, if you click on it like this, you could also rename that if work in progress is not what you call it, if you have a different name for it. So I'm going to keep going down here I'll stick with current assets for the moment. Just to show you these ones here, control asset 2, 3, 4, these are ones that you can rename for your own use. I've renamed the first one here to client control. The trick is you do have to rename it before it comes live. So you won't see it in your drop down. You won't see control asset 2 in your drop down list. You actually have to click on it and rename it before it'll become live. And again, you can add your own subcategories to that. So if we click on down to current liabilities, so we've creditors, payroll tax. Now you might want to add a few categories to payroll tax. For example, if you're running a wages control, that you would put your net pay and your payroll tax here. And if you're doing pensions and you wanted to keep that within the payroll section, you could add pensions here as well, for your pension control account. Health insurance, anything related to payroll that you're keeping a control account on. VAT, just default to VAT. Corporation tax liability, this is where you'd record that. Now credit cards, again, credit card is a bank account type. So these two credit cards were added through the bank account screen, and that's where you have to add any of the account types. Accruals, like prepayments, you could click on accruals, and if you wanted, you could further categorize that down into, let's say your accountancy fee, rent, electricity, etc. Just by clicking on new and adding your new categories there. And so if I continue on down here, and again we have these, short-term loan is an account type, control account liability is an account type, so that would be RCT. If you're withholding RCT tax, you would have added that through the bank account screen and it would display here. These control liability 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, again, these are for your own use. So to make them live, click on it, rename it to something meaningful to you. And again, you can add subcategories of it also. So if we continue down the next section, we have fixed assets. Again, fixed assets would not be added here. They would be added through the fixed asset screen. And onto long-term liabilities, we can see here term loan would be a bank account type as well, So this PTSB loan would be something that I had added in the accounts and bank screen. If we go on down, so our last section then on the balance sheet is the capital and reserves. This capital and reserves we're looking at is for a limited company. So we can see share capital is here. If we had added, if this company type was sole trader, so if you're on your screen, you're looking and your capital and reserves looks different, then for sole traders, what you'll see here is drawings and funds introduced. So share capital, if you want now retained earnings, opening balance, those are reserved nominals of SortMyBooks. So share capital, you can further subdivide this one. You could set up, if there was, a lot of shareholders and you wanted to track the shareholding, the share capital amount given by each one, you could create that here. Click on share capital and click new. The other thing that you might have, you see capital 1, capital 2, capital 3. Again, these are nominals that are for your own use, so you can rename them. So if I click on capital 1, I'm going to change that one to share premium and click on save. And again, if you have more than one shareholder and you're tracking the share premium for all of them, you can click back on share premium and click on new and add in the different shareholders. That's it for nominals. At the end of the lesson, you'll see a link, and that link logs a ticket with our support system as usual. And what I'd like is your feedback on this. So things you found helpful and things you didn't as well, so that it'll help us to improve our course offering. Thank you. Until next time.